राधे राधे
राधे राधे
दंडवत प्रणाम राधे राधे दंडवत प्रणाम वेलकम टू श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी मंदिर गोपीनाथ भवन श्री वृंदावन धाम श्री गुरुदेव की जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय रूपानुग गौरी गुरुवर्ग की जय पतित पावन श्री नित्यानंद प्रभु की जय प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम सच्चिदानंद गौर हरि की जय राधा विनोद बिहारी जी की जय राधा रमन जी की जय गिरिराज महाराज की जय हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय श्री भक्ति प्रमोद पुरी गोस्वामी महाराज की जय तृतीय आविर्भाव महामहोत्सव की जय गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। Dandava Pranama Vaishnavas.
Dandava Pranam.
So we will begin with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Guccha, Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnava Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagano Raghunatham Vitantam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahabano Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamshta Om Ajnanatirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Srimad Bhakti Vedanto Narayanitti Namine Shri Krishna Leela Katane Sudaksham Audariya Madhurya Gunashta Yuktam Varam Varinyam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tam Shivasham Namami Tridandinam Bhakta Shiromanim Cha Shri Krishna Pada Jagataika Vritti Chaitanya Leela Amrita Sarasaram Narayanam Tvam Satatam Prapadye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavani Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Vishnupadaya Gaura Presthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Prajna Keshava Nitti Namine Pativarta Charitraya Svashritanam Chamanine Jiva Dukhe Sadarpaya Shri Nama Premadayine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Vaishnava Devi दयिताय कृपाभये कृष्ण सम्बन्ध विज्ञानो दयिने ब्रह्मवे नमः माधुर्योज्ज्वल प्रेमाध्य श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिदां श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोऽस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणि श्रीमूर्तये दीनकारिणे रूपानुगतिरुद्धाप सिद्धान्तध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षान्वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भारसम्बोधे तदम्बुजायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगपरायते गौराविर्भावभूमे स्वं निर्देष्टा सजनप्रिया वैष्णव सर्वभौमश्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नाम्ने गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतां सुरतो मङ्गो मम मन्दं मतिर्गते मत्सर्वस्वत्वनं भोजं राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यवृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमाद श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीलगोविन्ददेवो प्रेष्ठानिभिः सेव्यमानस्मरामि श्रीमद्रसरसारम्भे वंशीवत्ततस्ततः हर्षन्वेणुस्वनैर्गोपी गोपीनाथश्रिये स्रुनः प्रियायै तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियायै केशवस्य च कृष्णभक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्तवृन्द क्षेत्रोदरपरमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं मुनिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मा सपरं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्ण संकीर्तनम् हरे नाम Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya.
Page 32 in a small songbook.
Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Koroe Dasi Trinape Kayoti Varga ki
Jai.
jai.
So what happened there?
I had the tempura on the fifth note, or the fifth note below, instead of the proper key. This is something we're just learning. It's difficult.
We're learning how to sing without a harmonium.
Didi.
Vaishnava.
Kripa koro Vaishnava Thakur.
Page 40 in the little songbook.
Page 40.
40.
And if you do not have a songbook, is Jiva Pavana Prabhu there?
Yes.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
Dandavat Pranam.
If you do not have a songbook, then Jiva Pavana Prabhu very kindly and mercifully post the bhajans in the comment section of the thread. So just scroll to his most recent post, and there you will find the bhajan accompanied by translation and beautiful commentaries from our acaryas. Thank you.
Dandavat Pranam Jiva Pavana Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam all Vaishnavas.
Page 40, Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakur. Okay, I have to make sure I get the right note here. Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakur. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. One of his favorite bhajans, which can be sung for Krishna, but also which can be sung for Gurudev. Our Srila Gurudev Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj told us that these Sharanagat bhajans can also be sung for Gurudev. And he actually gave us the names of 4 of them as examples. The first one was the bhajan we had just sung for him, Sarvasva Tomar Charani Sampya Puri Chitomar Ghare. This is by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Another one he gave us was Atmani Vedan Tuva Pade Kori. Another one he gave us was Manasa Deho Geho Joki Chumor. And the last one he gave us was Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Semor Sampada. He said you can also sing these for Gurudev and also Vaishnavas. So this bhajan that we're going to sing now, Sarvasva Tomar Charane Sampya, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is singing it in the mood of surrender, Sharanagat. which can be sung toward Krishna or Guru, Diksha Guru, Shiksha Guru.
Page 205.
205. Also, I'm picking or choosing bhajans according to the moods which Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj embodied himself, the moods of humility before other Vaishnavas and also especially before his Gurudev Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. So we first sang Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya. There he's praying, Trinapeka, please give me or awaken this Vaishnava humility within my heart. And then the next one, Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakur, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, was according to our Gurudev, according to Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, and so many other Vaishnavas who could see and witness his character personally. They saw him as the embodiment of Trinadapi Sunichena, Sunich, which is this mood of feeling oneself lower than a straw in the street and more tolerant than a tree, ready to offer all respect to others and not accepting any for themselves. So the bhajan we just sang, Kripa Koro Vaishnava Thakur, also has this mood that I should not see myself superior to anyone and I should give my respect to all. I should not give my remnants to anyone, but I should accept everything as the mercy of Krishna and be humble to Vaishnavas. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj explained that once he brought him some water for taking a bath, and generally he would just say, okay, thanks for the water in the bucket, and he would take a bath, but he actually took some and sprinkled it on his head first. And Srila Bharati Maharaj said, he was like, why are you sprinkling it on your head? He said, because it has been brought by a Vaishnava. So I see it as mercy descending on me. I can't just bathe my feet with this, I first must take it upon my head. So with this kind of mood, Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj said, I was so much younger than him. I was like a new boy, and he was giving me so much honor and respect, seeing that this was being given by a Vaishnava. And so he was honoring it accordingly. At first taking it on his head, and then using it for the purpose that the Vaishnava brought it for. So he was exemplifying these beautiful moods of humility. 205. Sarvasva Tomar Charane
Though it
Sampi.
can be said without any doubt, he wasn't a new boy, he was...
Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj was speaking about himself as a new boy. At that time he was, of course, there present in the temple for quite some time, but in terms of his relative age in comparison to Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, on top of that, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj is a disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, whereas Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj is a grand disciple.
It was his humility.
And also, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj is the Shiksha Guru of Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj. So to receive that kind of honor and respect from someone whom he saw as his Guru was for himself quite extremely humbling, and he just saw the humility in this Vaishnava, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. So, Sarvasva Tomar. Sarvasvato Charane Sapiya Pure Chito Maro Ghare Tumi to Thakuro Tomaro Kukuro Boliya Jano Pure আসিতে না দিও, রাখিব ঘরের পারে। তব নিজ প্রসাদ সেবিয়া উচ্ছিষ্ট রাখিবে যাহা, আমার ভোজন পরময়ানন্দে প্রতিদিন হবে তাহা। বসিয়া শুনিয়া তোমার চরণ, চিন্তিব সতত আমি। নাচিতে নাচিতে নিকটে যাইব, যখন রাখিবে তুমি। নিজের পোষণ কভু না ভাবিব, রাখিব ভাবের ঘরে। ভক্তি বিনোদ তোমারে পাবক, বলিয়া বরণ করে। appearance celebration of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, as it is today. And at that time, the devotees were glorifying him, and then came his turn to speak. And he said, the only reason that you're saying these things is because I am the dog of the servant of the servant of the servant of my Guru Maharaj. And because I have some connection to him, you're kind of including me in that glorification. But really the glorification is for my Guru Maharaj. And so this mood was so prevalent within him that I am nothing. Only because of my connection is there anything. And only because of this connection, really, does anything even remotely touch me. But actually it is all meant for my Guru Maharaj. Our Srila Prabhupada also said something similar. If any glory comes, it's only because of the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. All pure devotees, they don't take any of that for themselves. They only pass that on to Guru and Gauranga, their Guru Varga, Guru Parampara. If someone is taking that glory to themselves and keeping it for themselves, this will act as a poison, which can actually slowly destroy one. So our function as servants is not to take anything for ourselves, but only to pass it on. All the glory, all the everything, whatever comes, sarvasva tomar, everything which has come into my vicinity, I am surrendering at your lotus feet. But his mood was such, I am just like the dog of the servant of the servants of the servants of my Gurudev. And we should also endeavor to practice and to learn and to develop this mood where we can actually feel like such, that I'm really just like this. What do I require? I require some mercy, any kind, sidelong glance or punishment as required, but something from my Guru Maharaj and from those who are near and dear to him, that they can help me to somehow or other acquire his mercy. So all of the beautiful lessons that are here, what is it? In whatever situation I'm in, I will always make sure that nothing unfavorable comes to you. If anyone is favorable, then I will be happy. I will dance around you. I will only take the remnants of your prasad. I won't take anything which is not favorable to you. I won't accept any association which is not favorable to you. To maintain this loyalty, and this was one of the prominent characteristics of the preaching of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. Why should we add or subtract anything from the teachings of our Gurudev? Who are we to do that? We receive what we know through parampara. So we should be very loyal to our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, not creating or twisting or subtracting. He was very clear on following exactly as it is. So now, we will call out Sri Rupa. Yes. He was also very prominent among the disciples of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. Just so you know, I'm speaking about him also in between the bhajans, and then I will also speak about him afterward. But because so many of these bhajans were very dear to him, and he was also very dear to those bhajans, I feel that it is appropriate to speak about his qualities in relation to these bhajans, because he was embodying them, absorbing them, and also sharing these moods with all he met. So he was there at the time of the last speech, you can say, the last deliverance of Harikatha of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada said, we are not doers of good or evil deeds, carrying the shoes of Sri Rupa upon our heads. The instructions of Sri Chaitanya Dev, that is our aspiration, that is our goal. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj said, of all of the instructions of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, we need to understand the culmination of them. Whatever activity that we're doing on the path of bhakti, it must have its goal, its purpose. And that was the purpose, his stated purpose. The main purpose of all of it And if we neglect that purpose or that goal, then what is the rest for? So that was the stated purpose. That we're not here to make buildings or to do so many things, to live comfortable lives or to engage in the worldly activities of this world, the politics and the discussions of this world. We are the bearers of the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We are the representatives of Sri Rupa Goswami, and just to somehow even attain a particle of dust on our heads from the lotus feet of Sri Rupa, this is our life and soul. So we will sing Sri Rupa Manjari Pada Semora Sampada.
Page 50.
Also in that same discussion, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, he actually proclaimed that he came to give so much, but he spent too much time cutting jungles. But he wanted to give all of the nectar that Rupa Goswami was giving. That was his real purpose and real goal. He just found that it's very difficult in a world full of so many persons who are mundane and materialistic to just give that nectar. That first you have to cut so many jungles and prepare that place so that you can give the nectar. Swami Pad ki jai, Shri Rupa Manjari Pada Semor Sampada. Nitai Gunamani Amar, age 61. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri When we were singing that bhajan just now, today I was reflecting upon and reading about Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj and what his seva was for Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, which he continued to do to the best of his ability until he entered Samadhi, until he could no longer physically do it. He was instructed to edit and to publish books and magazines and daily articles, daily papers, to work within the editing and publications department of the Gaudiya Math. And he kept that as his primary seva, the most important thing in his heart, because it was the direct order of his Gurudev, so he held that as his most dear attachment through his entire life. And I found that to be so beautiful, that even though we know he didn't depart this world physically from our vision until after 103 years old or something like that, still he always felt himself to be like a child before his Gurudev, that I am just a servant of the servant of my Gurudev, and his instruction is my life and soul. And so to the best of his ability, with all of his energy, he devoted it to the Brihat Mridanga, the big Mridanga of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. What is that big Mridanga?
The printing press.
The printing press. Previously, printing presses had something in them called a drum, which would turn and rotate and it would print. Now they've got all sorts of digital ways in which things happen. They have digital ways in which things happen, inkjets and all kinds of things. But before there was a drum, and that drum would print papers. And through the medium of the books and the publications, it would go far and wide out to thousands and millions of people. So Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada called it the Brihat Mridanga, and our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
No, I think you're going to say what I was going to say.
No, I want you to say it.
No, continue.
Our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, he also considered it the more important seva, because it would last. Maybe we won't remain around for long, maybe our own preaching won't be so powerful, but what is there in those books is so powerful and so lasting.
What I just wanted to add to that, when you were speaking about how important is the printing press, last year Shamrani Jadharani Didi was here in Vrindavan, and she was speaking on Srila Prabhupada's disappearance festival, or appearance. Anyway, she was speaking on him, and she said that when the first printing press was bought by the BBT, by ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada was so happy when he saw it. We had our own printing press. ISKCON had its own printer. And she said that Srila Prabhupada immediately offered his pranam to that printing press.
Full Dandavat Pranam.
Full Dandavat Pranam. So we can imagine how they saw this kind of preaching. And we mention it sometimes, and devotees sometimes kind of put it down, especially now. They're like, oh, we need to be together and doing kirtan. But at this time, right now, the medium by which we can touch and preach and affect more and more people is through the internet, is to just flood the internet, flood Facebook, flood Twitter with Krishna consciousness.
And Instagram.
And that's what they would probably be doing and having everyone do.
Versus this.
So it's such an important medium that we have now also to put out good content and the truth. There's so much untruth out there. Imagine what Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and our acaryas would do with the internet. That they could actually touch everyone in every country of the world, unless it's blocked like North Korea or something. But they can touch everyone. By doing this kind of seva online, it can go around the world instantly. Instantly. How powerful is this medium for preaching, actually? And we haven't properly tapped into it yet.
There was this was discussed by Srila Bhakti Vinyam Bharati Maharaj in his glorification of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. How there was one big, famous, educated person who was a little bit concerned, like, how are you going to have enough information to put out a daily newsletter or a daily magazine? What is it? Dainik Nadia Prakash. Daily?
Weekly, monthly.
But there was a daily, a weekly, a monthly, and I don't think they even had anything considered yearly at that time. It was too much and too valuable to wait so long to present. So he was questioning, how is it that you will have enough information? I'm concerned about this. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada replied that I thought you were an intelligent, scholarly person, but I can see that you don't understand anything. Don't you know that the material world, the entire material creation, is barely a reflection of only 1/4 of the spiritual creation? And in this world, we have enough mundane information to put out newsletters and magazines and now radio and television and everything at every moment, everywhere around the world. He said, every moment of every day of every year, we can put out thousands and millions of transcendental articles. There is no lack of that. Glorification of Krishna. As we were discussing yesterday, Ananta Shesh, with unlimited mouth, since time without beginning, has been endeavoring to glorify Krishna and feels that he cannot even begin to scratch the surface of his unlimited glories. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada established it like this. How valuable is this? Brihat Mridanga. With our mridangas in the streets, we can make so much noise and the vibration will go. I'm not saying noise, this is transcendental, it is kirtan. But that Brihat Mridanga, the printing press, and now the instantaneous worldwide web, internet press.
So powerful.
I read today one devotee wrote, Madan Mohan Prabhu, he wrote that we have the opportunity now to flood all of those channels with Krishna Katha, with Krishna Bhakti, with Krishna Kirtan, with all kinds of glorification of Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. It's such a beautiful and powerful time. And right now, so many are at home. Most of the time just scrolling and looking at their computer screens, saying, what's going on in this crazy world? Imagine it just being flooded by thousands and thousands of devotees. Prahlad Maharaj said that everyone is searching for their dearmost friend. They don't know who it is yet, but that dearmost friend is Krishna. And because of having been disappointed again and again in this material world, people may actually, we should not diminish the possibility that they might actually recognize that, oh, this is something I can actually hold on to that is real, because everything else is temporary. It may actually attract them. You never know. At this moment, I'm remembering one devotee, he actually made an article and put it in the Back to Godhead magazine. He was in his car, and he had somehow done something to put all of the fumes directly into the car and closed the window. And the devotee went to bring him a Back to Godhead magazine. And this devotee was not a devotee at the time. He was completely disillusioned with the material world and decided to end his own life. So he was just sitting in there and it was filling up with carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. And the devotee knocked on the window and he was like, don't, leave me alone, leave me alone.
You mean he was trying to kill himself?
He was trying to kill himself. And the devotee came up and was knocking on the window and he was like, get out of here, get out of here. So the devotee just took the Back to Godhead magazine, put it underneath the windshield wiper with a picture facing the guy who's sitting in there, and he's like, well, I'm going to go anyway, I might as well read something. So he opened his window, grabbed the magazine, closed the window again, and started to read. And he found what he was searching for through that medium. And he was like, the valuable, rare human form of life which affords one the opportunity to endeavor for perfection, which is love for Krishna. Roll the windows down. And then he joined the Hare Krishna. So, Brihat Mridanga, Ki Jai. Can you tell about that devotee in Italy?
Which one, the chanter?
The one who was glowing like 1,000 suns.
We told that so many times.
Oh, that was a long time ago, like 6 months
one
ago.
day we were on stage, we were in, I think, like Milan
Bologna.
or something. I don't know, but we were somewhere in Italy, and we were on this stage doing a kirtan, and there was this young boy, probably in his early 20s, and he was sitting there just kind of singing along with us and smiling, but he was really glowing. And even amongst all the devotees, this person was glowing. You could see something in him. And Kishori Mohan Prabhu and I were like, do you see this kid? And he's like, yeah, he's like glowing. So the moment we were done with our program, we got off stage and ran to this kid. We're like, who are you? Why are you glowing? And he started laughing and he said, oh, I'm really nobody. And he said, this is really one of my first, programs of coming to the devotees. He said, what happened was, many, many years ago in the 70s, his father got a Chaitanya Charitamrita, a book, on the street. He bought one, but he never opened it. And he said, and when he was born, through his whole life, this book was on the shelf, just on a bookshelf at the top row. And he said one day, he just wanted to read something, and he felt like the book was kind of calling to him. So he grabbed that book. Didn't he say he went to the...
He said the book was glowing or something.
Yeah, the book was glowing. And he brought it down and he started to read it. And in one of the purports or something, he read somewhere that really chanting 1 lakh, 64 rounds was the minimum actually.
If you want Krishna to receive your service.
And so he just started chanting 64 rounds of Hare Krishna. He was reading that book and it affected him. His father never read it, but he did. And we were just astonished how this book was for him. It may not have been for the father, but it was for his son. And his son finally, when he was in his young 20s, looked up and the book was like, here I am. And then automatically he began to chant and pick up where he left off. And then he came and joined Kirtan, and we could see physically how this young man was glowing due to the chanting of the holy names amongst a crowd of people. So they're time bombs. It was astonishing.
So I sang this Nitai Gunamani Amar because here it says he does not discriminate. He broke open that dam and the flood of praying was allowed to travel everywhere. And this was the function of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj underneath and the care and the guidance of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada to bring that information, that nectar through the publications to the whole world. Not only that, but he was also doing regular radio shows. He was singing bhajans on the radio. Can you believe it? So, we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now we will call out to the mercy of Shachinandan Gaura Hari. Vande Vishwambhara Padakamalam. You want to lead us today?
Page 339.
Sachinandana Gaur Hari Ki Jai. Vande Visham Bharapadakamalam. Vande Visham Bharapadakamalam. to sing Gopinath Mamani Vedana Shuno. This was the favorite bhajan of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. Why? Because this is what we have heard. I think it was Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj said. One time Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada heard it on the radio. Who was singing it? Pranamananda Brahmachari, who became known as Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, singing Gopinath Mamani Vedana Shuno on the radio. And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was so pleased. He said he was having like ecstatic transformations. So pleased by it that when he came back to the mutt, he asked Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj to come to his room and sing it for him personally. So he did. And from that he was very attached to this bhajan. So much so that Bhakti Dayatamara Maharaj, even before Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj ever had a temple, used to call his future temple Radha Gopinath Gaudiya Math. And he never had a mutt, but he would say, oh, your temple, wherever he was residing, is Gopinath Gaudiya Math. And finally, when he did have a temple, when he manifested one, it was named Gopinath Gaudiya Math. So we see that in Navadvip, Mayapur, also here in Vrindavan, and in so many other places. That's the name of his mutt, his temples. So Gopinath Mamani Vedana Shuno. 130. If you don't have a songbook, then just scroll to the most recent post of Jiva Pavana Prabhu, and there you will see that he has posted the bhajan along with its translation. Just checking the time. Mamani Vedana Shuno Gopinath Gopinath Mamani Vedana Shuno Vishayi Durjano Sadaka Jani Bhakti Karme Jara Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, page 341. Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhava Daite, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. बिहारी जी की जय, गिरिराज महाराज की जय, हरे नाम संकीर्तन की जय, हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय, श्री भक्ति प्रमोद पुरी गोस्वामी महाराज की जय, आविर्भाव महामहोत्सव की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीश्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्तनारायणेति नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं, यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणम्। First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev, Nitya Lila Prabhupada Vishnupad, Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad Shri Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Prabhupada Vishnupad, Ashtotara Shatashi Srimad Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada. And on this day, the Avirbhav Maha Mahotsav of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, I also offer my thousands of Dandava Pranam in his lotus feet, and also to all of our Rupanga Gauriya Guru Varga, and to all Vaishnavas past, present and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandava Pranam.
Dandava Pranam, dear Vaishnavas, Radhe Radhe.
So today, as we've already mentioned, we are observing the auspicious appearance day, the Avirbhav Mahamahotsav of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, a very near and dear, intimate disciple of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, a very amazing, powerful, stalwart Vaishnava and preacher of the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, an intimate associate. Srila Gurudev said that he is an eternal, intimate associate of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. And our other Guru Vargas have also confirmed that he is a very powerful Mahabhagavat Vaishnava, an eternal associate of the Lord. So we have received on this day the opportunity to remember, to hear about, to discuss the glories of a great, wonderful, powerful Vaishnava, who we've already mentioned is said to be the embodiment of Trinadapi Sunichena, the embodiment of the humility which is actually required to be able to take shelter of the holy name of the Lord constantly. Hari Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tiner Smaran Hoy Sarva Vigna Vinashan, Vigya Vinashan. According to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, to remember the glories of Guru, Vaishnavas and Bhagavan, Tiner Smaran Hoy, to remember them, Sarva Vigna Vinashan, all ignorance, all anarthas and everything can become dispelled just by glorifying and remembering these personalities. Not only that, but in its place, all auspiciousness will manifest. So it is such a powerful thing for us to do, to remember, to speak about and to glorify the Vaishnavas. Even more than Krishna himself, He's more pleased when one serves his devotees. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnur aradhanam param tasmat parataram didi tadyanam samarchanam. Lord Shiva is telling this to his consort. Of all kinds of worship of the Lord, of all kinds of worship, sarvesham, of all kinds, Vishnur aradhanam param, the highest or topmost, param is the service or worship of Vishnu. And then he says, tasmat, but, parataram devi, what is even higher than the worship of Vishnu? Tadyanam samarchanam, is worshipping who is near and dear to him. This is more than. That's why Krishna himself tells that pratamam tu gurum pujam. First of all, you worship Sri Guru. First of all, you serve Guru Dev. Then, whatever you do can be considered fruitful. Otherwise, anyata nishphala bhavet, everything will be considered fruitless. Guru Dev is not only Diksha Guru. Guru Dev is all of our Guru Varga, Guru Parampara, Rupanuga Guru Varga, all of those personalities who are teaching us through Shastra. Not only Diksha Guru, but also Shiksha Gurus, the pure Vaishnavas, Sadhu Guru. This is Guru Dev. Pratamam tu Gurum Pujam. First of all, serve and worship Sri Guru, who is Tadiya. Tadiya means Krishna's own. Krishna's own personalities, his own near and dear. Krishna Mukunda Preshta or Krishna Priyajan, very near and dear to Krishna. This melts the heart of Krishna. In the same way that we hear, love me, love my dog. So if one wants to love Krishna, Krishna says, those who say that they are my devotees are not my real devotees. But those who are the devotees of my devotees, they are my real devotees. So this is our process, as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gopi bhartu padakamalayur das das anudas. He's not saying that I am directly the servant of Krishna. He's saying Krishna, the beloved of the gopis, Gopi bhartu padakamalayur, of his lotus feet, the servant of the servant of the servant. So I am the servant, or I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant of that Krishna, who is specifically Gopi Bhartu. Gopi Bhartu means Radha's Krishna, Radha Kanta. E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. This is Gopi Bhartu. And Das Anudas means I want to be the servant of the servant of the servant. With that kind of mood, with that kind of humility, then we can approach Krishna. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, very early in his life, he came to the lotus feet of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. And he completely surrendered himself at the lotus feet of his Gurudev, accepting whatever service his Gurudev gave him to do. We already spoke about his service of disseminating transcendental literature. He was an editor. Interestingly enough, later on, when he requested Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj to edit, Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj asked him, or was it? It was when Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada asked him to edit. And he asked him, what does it entail? So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj said that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada explained that as you try to surrender yourself to the lotus feet of Sri Guru, that automatically, in the endeavor to serve, all knowledge and ability and everything comes to that person who's sincerely trying to serve properly. It comes automatically. And this is a very interesting principle. Let's say you don't know how to clean the clothes of Gurudev, but suddenly this seva has been given to you. In India, until recently, most people had to clean clothes by hand. Nowadays, most people have washing machines, but before you would clean them by hand. For your own clothes, you throw them in a bucket, a little soap, stomp on them for a few seconds, swish them, and then hang them up. When it comes time to wash the clothes of Gurudev, how do we do it? Completely differently, with great care and attention, because we see that these clothes are Gurudev's clothes, tadiya vastu, his own clothes. So we treat them very carefully. We don't just stomp on them, wash them very nice, maybe scrub them, rinse them out really nice so there's no soap residue. We hang them up in such a way that it's not all disheveled, so it'll be less wrinkled. Then we take them back and we iron them and we fold them very, very nicely. And maybe if we didn't do it so good one day, the next time we will do it better and better and better. Why? Because the nature of love, the nature of affection, is to always increase in the quality of one's seva. So, if one is sincere to serve Sri Gurudev, if one really wants to follow the order of Gurudev, then Krishna himself provides the ability and the capacity. Matak smitir jnanam apohanam cha. I am remembrance, I am knowledge, and I am forgetfulness. But if one wants to serve Gurudev, if one wants to serve Krishna, then he says, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I give them that knowledge, that understanding, by which they can come to me. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada explained it like that, and he would share that katha of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. That how one serves, it's not about just learning it externally, but really endeavoring with one's mind, body, heart, and soul. And in that, if there's some imperfection means some difficulty, still because that intention is there, then Krishna will give the ability and the capacity to improve that quality. As we mentioned yesterday, Krishna said, I am that ability. And if someone is sincere to serve Gurudev, then Guru gives not only the instruction, but with the instruction he gives the capacity to follow that instruction. The energy, the lessons, the ability, the knowledge, and everything. Because transcendental knowledge is not something that we can just grab on. It's not something that we can claim, oh, this is mine. But if we make the endeavor to serve honestly, from the heart, to please the object of our love and affection, for their happiness, pleasure, and benefit, right? Anukulyena Krishna Anushilanam. Then Krishna will make all arrangements. Guru will make all arrangements. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj was educated. He had a university education, and he was able and he was qualified to serve in so many ways. But even if he did not have that university education, we cannot claim that all of the main disciples of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada had that kind of education. Still, with the desire to serve Guru, automatically all knowledge of all Shastras, all transcendental knowledge can be revealed within the heart. Prakashante Mahatmanaha. So many times devotees would want to go back to university after coming to the process of bhakti, and Srila Gurudev would always ask, what university did Haridas Thakur go to? What university did Hanuman go to? They didn't require any mundane qualification. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada had so much qualification. But Srila Gaura-Kishora's Babiji Maharaj never went to university. He told him, throw it all in the ocean. So, really it is all about transcendental knowledge which is revealed within the heart due to one's desire or inclination to serve. This is how bhakti and the capacity to serve by the medium of bhakti manifests in the heart of the disciple. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj received so much service from his Guru Maharaj, and he kept it close to his heart as his life and soul until his last breath, actually forever. Forever. Because it is the eternal position of the student to always feel themselves that I am the disciple of my Gurudev, And we have in the bhajan of Narottam Das Thakur, Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevala Bhakati Sarma, there it says, Janme Janme Prabhu say. He is my Prabhu, He is my Master, my Lord, birth after birth. So all of our Guru Varga, they see that their Guru is always their Guru. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself taught that one should always feel like a fool or like a child before their Gurudev. One should not try to show off their knowledge or learning or try to be more than their Gurudev. And Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he exemplified this and embodied this, always maintaining this mood of humility, being the humble servant of the servant of the servant of his Gurudev, and honoring all Vaishnavas according to their due, according to their levels. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he explained that one should not see any Vaishnava according to their birth or their hereditary qualifications. There were some devotees in the Mutt who were inspired by one other devotee. There were new devotees who were inspired by another senior Vaishnava, but they were concerned that maybe they shouldn't take initiation from him because he did not come from a Brahmin family. And this idea actually, even though Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada preached so strongly the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, still even within Gaudiya Math, there was so much of this consciousness that I came from such and such family, so therefore I'm more prominent, this kind of thing. It's very, very difficult to remove this kind of mood, this janma, qualification by birth. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada preached the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu so strongly that so many persons who felt their position, not within the Gaudiya Math, but outside, their seniority according to their birth, their position according to birth, became very upset, and they actually decided that he should be removed. And so they did actually throw stones and all sorts of sharp and dangerous objects at the parikrama of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, with intent to hurt the devotees and with intention to kill Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, because he preached so strongly. But still this infection of the jiva, the conditioned soul, is such that we always like to place our position above others. Well, when were you born? Well, I'm 5 days older than you, so, right? Well, how much money do you have? Oh, I have $5 more than you, so, I look better than you. Oh, I have more education than you. All of these kind of things. We try to lord it over others based on these four things. Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri. Birth, wealth, education, bodily beauty. And these four things, Kunti Devi says in Srimad Bhagavatam, are a disqualification for bhakti. Therefore Mahaprabhu preached very strongly and placed Haridas Thakur as the Nam Acharya to prove this point. Advaita Acharya put Haridas Thakur on the seat of honor in front of everyone who felt themselves so qualified to show this point. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj instructed these devotees, if one looks upon a Vaishnava according to their birth, means what family or what caste they were born into, they don't understand that a Vaishnava possesses naturally all of the qualities of the highest levels of Brahmins. Naturally, all of the best qualities of the demigods are present within them. They don't understand that within Vaishnavism, everything is present. So to look upon a Vaishnava, oh, you come from a Brahmin caste, or you come from Kshatriya, you come from Shudra, you are from outcast. To look upon these from that perspective. He said it is, he actually quoted Padma Purana, and there's a verse in Padma Purana which states that this mood brings one to hell because it is aparad. You're judging a Vaishnava who has received Diksha, who is actually reborn as the best of all, because they are taking exclusive shelter of Krishna, judging them by some material, external, temporary qualification, instead of the nature of their soul, which they are endeavoring to awaken. My father told me that when he came to India many years before, in the 80s, he received the opportunity of seeing Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, along with so many other devotees were there. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj was so humble that he was speaking about himself in relation to our Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And this is the nature of Vaishnavas, is that they don't want people to respect them or to love them or admire them, but they actually speak about themselves in a way which is quite denigrating even. Like Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He writes in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, I am lower than a worm's stool. If anyone even hears my name, they will receive all kinds of inauspiciousness in their lives. This kind of mood, he feels this about himself. This is real humility, although he is so qualified. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj was giving some examples from his own life in humility, showing certain things. So he mentioned that our Srila Prabhupada, whenever they would meet, he would ask our Srila Prabhupada for donation. And Prabhupada would offer him prasadam. And he said he didn't want to take it. This is what he was revealing. He didn't want to accept it because he wasn't sure where it came from. And so our Srila Prabhupada would not give him a donation. Again and again, every time he would request a donation, Prabhupada would say, please take some prasadam, and he would politely not accept it. He was telling this himself. And then, in one of Srila Prabhupada's last requests to him, when Prabhupada was lying on his departure bed, he asked him, will you take prasad? You cannot, according to Vedic culture, deny someone their last request. So he accepted. He said at that moment, the Prabhupada said arrange prasad for him immediately, and they brought prasad. And Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he glorified our Srila Prabhupada as that person who revealed to him this mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Naham Vipro, Nacha Narapati, Napi Vaishyo Nashudra. I am not a Brahmin, I am not a Kshatriya, I am not a Vaishya Shudra. I am not a Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha or Sannyas. My only identity is that I am the eternal servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna, the beloved of the gopis. All of these other things, they're external. Even can be a disqualification for bhakti. He said he gave me that jewel of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In his humility, he's telling this. And as our acaryas do, sometimes they manifest something to teach us any lesson. Like Bharat Maharaj showed that he became attached to a deer. Of course, we know that he's above and beyond falling down into a deer form, but showing us as a pastime what can happen if you become attached to any animal or person, that you will have to take birth again in this material world if you are attached to anything in that form. Whatever one's contemplation is, they will have to take birth and live out that desire. As Krishna says, Yam yam bhavi smaram bhavam tyajantyante kalevaram. Whatever state of consciousness, whatever state of bhav, mood, absorption one is in at the time of their departure from this world, they will have to experience the result of that consciousness. Tam tam evaiti konteya sadat tat bhava bhavita. They will have to experience that. They will definitely attain to that. So, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, he also embodied this mood of Trinarapi Sunichena. Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj explained also in this same connection that there's certain kinds of foodstuffs which are considered sattvic, others are considered rajasic, means mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And he said, fresh rice, real, pure, fresh rice is considered sattvic. And if you cook that and you offer it, it's considered sattvic. So both him, Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj, who came from this Brahmin family background, and also Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, who came from a Brahmin family background, they had made vows in their life that they would only accept that food which is sattvic. It so happened that someone had cooked parboiled rice. One devotee had cooked parboiled rice. Parboiled rice means it was pre-boiled in advance and then they cook it again. It's a very different kind of rice and a different kind of flavor. So Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj, at that time I can't remember his name, was unwilling to accept it because he had taken a vow not to accept it. Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj was also present, and Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj was looking at him. What are you going to take? What are you going to do? And he said, this has been taken by a Vaishnava and offered to Krishna with love and devotion. Therefore, it no longer has this material or negative connotation to it. It is prasadam, it is mercy, and it has been given to Krishna by a Vaishnava and then offered to us by a Vaishnava. So, he began to take it, that this is Mahaprasad. This has been offered to Krishna by a Vaishnava and then given to us by a Vaishnava, therefore it is mercy. And he began to take it, and Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj also began to take it from that time. Not that they would choose to take it, but Mahaprasad was viewed in a completely different category from any ordinary food stuff. And so they're showing us in their own personal lives, by practical example, how we should honor Mahaprasad. That does not mean that we should go out of our way to offer things which are less quality to Thakurji. But if it so happens that something like that is offered, we should not disrespect it. So, I'm also remembering what our Srila Gurudev spoke about Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. How he used to serve him when he was much younger. He would accompany him to the Ganga where Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj would take bath. And he would carry his clothes, the dry clothes, and then on the way back from the Ganga he would carry the wet clothes. He would carry his little water pot, kamandalu, to fill with water. He would carry it there and bring it back full of water. And he would serve him in so many ways. Once upon a time, when our Srila Gurudev went with him, he had his own lota as well, which he had brought with him from his family home when he came to the mud. And so, when he was looking after Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, so happened that the Ganga had somehow swept our Gurudev's lota away. And Gurudev said it was very close to the ocean, so the river took that lota far away. And Gurudev was like, what happened to my lota? And Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj began laughing. He said, when you came to Krishna consciousness, when you came to the lotus feet of your Guru Maharaj, at that time you offered everything. Your mind, your body, your soul, and everything. So this lota, which came from your previous life's household, has now been washed away. So something to the effect of, now your surrender is complete. What need do you have of this lota? And anything else can be captured. And so Gurudev said whenever they would meet, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj would remind him of that. You remember when your lota was swept away like that? I had one remembrance in my mind and it just slipped. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, I met him once in 1996. I needed money to come to India. I had a chance to come and I had saved up a little bit, but I did not have enough. So I was requesting devotees. I was selling my first cassettes at the time, trying to get some money to come to India. And I still didn't have enough, so I requested my father, can you please loan me some money so that I can go to India? This was before our Srila Gurudev came to the West. My father said, sure, how much do you need? I said, $200. He said, on one condition. that when you go to India, you should go and see Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. Offer your pranam and hear from him. And also Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. Offer your pranam and hear from him. If you do that, I'll give you the money. And I was like, okay. Now at that time I knew they were from the Gaudiya Mutt, and I was a little bit hesitant, but anyhow I accepted. At least that much I can do. My father was trying to expose me to pure Vaishnavas, and I didn't understand or appreciate exactly what he was doing at the time. Now I see what a valuable treasure it was, and what a real, let's just say, that is the duty of a father, to somehow try to help their dependents to become free from this material world by turning them toward the pure devotees. So when I came to India, I completely forgot my promise. My father had given me an extra $100, $300, to seal the deal. I became very sick and I completely forgot, and I was just lying in my tent, practically dying of whatever it was, typhoid or whatever. So sick. And one boy, Krishnadas, came. He asked me if he can stay in the tent with me. And I was like, I'm sick, but sure, there's room if you want. He said, no problem. So he put this stuff there and he said, oh, by the way, if you want, I can get us in to see Srila Puri Maharaj and Srila Narayan Maharaj. And I was like, how did he know? But he just offered it like that. And he said, I can make all of the arrangements. And I was like, this kid is 15 years old. But anyhow, he made the arrangements. He arranged for 2 rickshaws. I think there was like 4 girls and 2 boys. And we all went to the mutt, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, Gopinath Gaudiya Mutt, in Mayapur. And when we went to see him, I don't know who was there, but they said, oh, he's not here right now or not available now, maybe come back later. So we just offered our pranam at the temple, and then we left and we went across the Ganga to see Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. And I've told you this before, so we offered our pranam to him. Beautiful interactions took place, and he inspired within my heart a mood of submittance that, yes, I trust you and I want to, a feeling of I trust you and I want to learn from you and I want to bring my friends to learn from you. And then after that, we went back across the Ganga and went back to Gopinath Gaudiya Mutt. And when we went inside, Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj was there. So we went upstairs to his room. And of course, at that time, he was quite elderly, about 96, right? 1996, yeah, about 100 years old. So we went into his room and he was sitting on his bed the way he would. And we offered our pranam, and he was like bowing like this and offering his pranam back to us. And he inspired within my heart so much honor, so much respect. And I offered my pranam to him, and all of us were there just around him. And then we just said we wanted to hear something inspirational from him. So he began telling us about sadhana bhakti. Following the path of sadhana to attain our goal of Krishna Prem. The way he was speaking about it. You know, that one should take this very seriously, that one should honor and follow the process of bhakti, one should not be weak. It was very sweet, very gentle, and very, he inspired a mood in my heart of respect, of reverence, of honor. Although at that time I didn't understand how to honor any Vaishnavas properly, and I still don't very much, but at that time I was very, very dense. I just knew I was going there because I had an opportunity, because my father had requested me to go. But somehow we received the opportunity for his darshan and to hear from him. And interestingly enough, and Sudevi just reminded me today, the day before Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj departed from this world, or even on that day, I can't remember, we were here in Vrindavan when the news came. And somehow, Sudevi and I were in a rickshaw in front of Krishna Balaram temple. And one devotee, a disciple of our Srila Gurudev, her name was Yashoda. See, Sudevi had always wanted to go and see Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, to hear from him and to see him. She had developed some inspiration for that. But she didn't receive that opportunity. So we were in front of the temple, and this Yashoda, elderly Mataji, she came to us, like running up to us. Oh my God, I was hoping I would see you two. I have something for you. Some devotee such and such in Gopinath Gaudiya Math sent it for you. This came directly from the mouth of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, and this was sent for you. And she opened it, and there were 2 tulsi leaves there for both of us, that it was sent for you from the devotee who was serving Srila Bhakti Pramod. We're like, who? What? We didn't have any idea. But anyhow, immediately we honored that, we took that in our mouths. And then Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj departed from our physical vision, from this world. So we felt that somehow he sent some mercy to us, and this was quite heart-touching. I didn't understand or even know how to appreciate him, but over the years, because our Srila Gurudev would glorify him in such a beautiful way, because so many Vaishnavas would glorify him, because of some devotees who were also his disciples, who were taking guidance from our Srila Gurudev after the departure of their Guru Maharaj, I developed so much appreciation for him. And then as I was reading more and more from him, there's a book called The Art of Sadhana, sorry. There's also The Heart of Krishna. So many very powerful instructions that Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj gives. Uncompromising. So soft, but yet so firm and uncompromising. At the same time, Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj said, he quoted a verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that a Vaishnava is so soft like a rose, but also hard as a thunderbolt. Sometimes people look, oh, he's so soft, he's so sweet, he's so gentle. But when you see his preaching, he was so uncompromising, so strong in his following, in the way he was following and practicing the instructions and the teachings of his Guru Maharaj and his Guru Varga. Such a beautiful representative. He embodied everything he would preach. Once upon a time, Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj said there was one person who was at a train station, was very disrespectful to one of the devotees who was traveling with Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. So he was so disrespectful and rude and using all kinds of expletives and very, very dismissive of this Vaishnava. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj saw it, and immediately he felt distant from that person. And that person came up to Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, trying to offer, wanting to do seva for him and everything, giving respect and honor. And Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj said, you have made Vaishnava aparad. I don't want to be anywhere near you. I won't accept anything that you're giving me. You should be very far away from me. I don't want anyone like you near my vicinity. If anyone is in that vicinity, then they are also affected. So very strongly he chastised. And that person's like, no, no, please allow me to serve you. And he said, I don't want to see you. I don't want to even be near you. So Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj said, unfortunately, this person did not understand what they had done. But Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj took it personally. You have offended a Vaishnava. So I don't want to have anything to do with you. And this is what happens also in our lives. If we're offensive to Vaishnavas, then other Vaishnavas will keep distance. I don't want to be near you. I don't want to see you. You're disrespectful to Vaishnavas, and then it so happens that one becomes consumed with the material energy, the desire for Kanaka, Kamani, and Pratishta, wealth, sense enjoyment, name, fame, position, power, and everything else as a result of this, and they lose their inclination for bhakti. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj was also very strong about this. He was very strong about representing Gurudev, representing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and not behaving in a way that would bring any disrepute to one's Gurudev, to one's Guru Varga, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Krishna, or to Shastra. He said once someone has come to the path of Vaishnavism, they should understand how their behavior will represent or will act. One should behave or act in such a way that they don't bring any negativity. By my behavior, by my activities, because of my connection to my Gurudev, this philosophy, to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Krishna, if I misbehave or I start doing all kinds of nonsense or simple activities, then by my behavior, others will judge not only me, but they will judge my Gurudev. They will criticize my Gurudev. They will criticize my Guru Varga because of my behavior. They will criticize Nityananda Prabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They will criticize even Krishna himself and the entire process of bhakti and our scriptures and everything. Not only that, but even my own birth family, my blood family will be criticized. Oh, what kind of family has such a nonsense person in their lineage? By my behavior and my activity. He said, so we should be very careful to not have any spot on our character. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, if you have a white cloth, a white sheet, and there's any black spot, ink spot on it, no one will see the white sheet, they will see that black spot. So we should be careful not to have any spot on our character that will make it so that people will criticize our Gurudev, our Guru Varga, our process of bhakti. That we should represent them as purely as possible, with that mood and intention. People used to have this kind of respect for their Gurudev, for their path, for their Guru Varga, for their family and everything. These days, people don't care so much, so they'll do any kind of nonsense activity in the name of bhakti or in the name of anything and not care. But previously, people had some kind of integrity, some kind of honor and some kind of respect, that they would understand, yes, I represent my family. Not only my material family, my spiritual family. I represent my Gurudev. I represent this path. I'm moving in this world saying, my Gurudev is Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. Then how should I act? Should I be doing activities which are going to make people look at my Gurudev going, what kind of Guru has disciples like this? So yes, it does affect. And some people think it doesn't affect, but Sriman Narayan himself told the four Kumaras that whatever the servant does reflects upon the master and is the responsibility of the master. And so he said, in order to make up for what my servants have done, I will not hesitate to lop off my own arm or even my own head to make it up to you. He said, whatever the servant does, it affects. He said, like any spot of leprosy, white leprosy, you should understand that it is actually throughout the whole body. Right? If anyone has any disease, some blood disease or anything, you might notice it here. Any kind of, like blood infection. But you should understand that it's flowing through the whole body. So he took responsibility. And so as we behave representing our Gurudev and Guru Varga, then it will also come to them. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj said we should be so careful not to bring any disrepute to our Gurudev. And he always behaved in such a way to maintain the integrity of his Gurudev and his Guru Varga, of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he was impeccable in his character, impeccable in his practice, impeccable in his speaking, and also what one speaks, they themselves should be following. Otherwise, it's not impeccable. It's a sign of hypocrisy. To be preaching one thing but not following it. No? Mahaprabhu says, what is real prachar or preaching? One's own practice, apani achar, one's own practice, then you can preach that. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj was also the embodiment of that. He was no lightweight. He was very strong and very powerful. One of the strongest, actually, in voicing this mood of maintaining the integrity of one's position. He said one does not deserve the right to call themselves a disciple if they act whimsically in contra, I don't even remember the word exactly, but contradicting the teachings and the words of their Gurudev and their Guru Varga. You cannot say, I'm a disciple of my Gurudev when you're not acting under the discipline of your Gurudev. If one is acting independently and doing so many things which are unfavorable, then he said they have no right to call themselves a disciple. And this is a heavy statement, but also this is a real statement. Very practical statement. If I think that I'm a disciple and I'm not really following the discipline that my Gurudev has given, but rather acting whimsically, changing the teachings, discarding the teachings, mixing with this association, that association, and so many different kinds of things which are unfavorable and against bhakti, then how can I call myself a disciple? So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj did not like that someone would take this process so cheaply that they can just claim some position but actually not be following properly. And we can all look at ourselves and say, oh my God, yes, it's true. What is my depth of practice? How much am I holding on to the lotus feet of my Gurudev and his instructions? This doesn't mean that we should run away and give up the path or the process. This means that we should try to come up to the standard where we can actually be considered a disciple. That my Gurudev, yes, I am following the discipline you have given me. And by that, then Gurudev will say, yes, you are acting in such a way. This is a disciple, one who is voluntarily accepting the discipline that Gurudev has given. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj also gave a lot of attention to being careful for committing Vaishnava aparad. That Vaishnavas are the heart of Krishna. Krishna says, Govinda Kohina, Mama Vaishnava Parad. My devotees, they are my life and soul. So the Vaishnava is the heart of Krishna, and Krishna is the heart of the Vaishnava. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj was always so respectful to all of the Vaishnavas, giving so much honor, respect, and trying to teach others also how to honor and respect Vaishnavas properly. This does not mean accepting all of their nonsense in the name of bhakti. This means accepting that Vaishnavata, that nature of exclusivity, of loving service to Guru, Gauranga and Radha and Krishna, and honoring that mood and giving proper and appropriate respect. He would not promote or endorse anyone who is doing extremely or severe nonsense activities, especially who are in position. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj was very, very heavy about that when some of his own godbrothers were doing so many terrible things in the name of spirituality. Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj was very vocal, very strong, fighting against all of the nonsense. So he didn't show that we should tolerate nonsense, but Srila Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Goswami Maharaj, he said that he exemplified the mood of not seeing any faults in anyone, but only seeing the good. And he gave an example of himself, Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj, how Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj saw that something he had edited or written, he said it was perfect, it didn't need anything else. And so Bhakti Vigyam Bharati Maharaj in his humility was thinking, oh, he's only seeing the good in me, and he's not seeing my millions of faults. So from the perspective of one humble Vaishnava, seeing the nature of another humble Vaishnava, this interesting interaction manifested, where we see that it appears that he's not noticing anything else. Of course, we have seen that he does notice, but the nature of the Vaishnava, especially upon those who are receiving their mercy, those who are in a position of receiving their mercy, they overlook so many millions of faults and only see the potential in that person. And they try their best to work with that potential, to increase that potential. What is that potential? That serving mood toward Krishna. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, for those who were in positions of authority, spiritual authority, who were misusing those positions and who were creating havoc in the spiritual society, he was very strong and cutting like a knife. But for those who were in a very simple position, who did not have that kind of position of responsibility, he would overlook their thousands of faults and encourage them toward Krishna Bhakti. So in one sense you can see he's softer than a rose, and in another sense harder than a thunderbolt. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. Oh. Nice Raghava Prabhu, very beautiful. He received a full plate of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj's remnants. It saved his life and soul. Because you wrote the name up, Sri Bodhaya Maharaj, I remember being with him on Guru Purnima a few years back. We were in San Francisco, and he was speaking about Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, what kind of loyalty a disciple should have toward their Gurudev. And he said it was the appearance festival of his Gurudev coming up. He said, so at that time he was a brahmachari, he was looking after his Gurudev, but he went out to collect, to make a collection so that he can put on a nice festival for his Gurudev's Vyasa Puja. And he used to stay in the room of his Gurudev. He would sleep on the floor near his Gurudev's bed, always waiting to be utilized in seva, but he wanted to make a nice festival. So that day his Gurudev was calling and searching for him. Where is he? Where is he? And the devotees weren't exactly sure where he had gone. And Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj needed him for something. So when he returned, Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj gave some sweet kind of correction. This is what Pujapad Bodhaya Maharaj was telling, that this body is not yours. You have accepted Guru, it means you have surrendered yourself to Gurudev. It is not for you to do independently what you want to do with it. It belongs to Guru. It is superior that you just stay here and sleep than to do something independently. I was like, wow, amazing. That it is superior to be there on call for Guru than to go and do something else independently. This reminds me also of one time there was one sannyasi who left our parikrama party and went with another group to the birthplace of Nityananda Prabhu, Eka Chakra. And Srila Gurudev was there searching everywhere. Where is he? I need him for translation. Where is he? He was searching and searching and searching. Where is he? Where is he? And he was nowhere to be found, and no one knew where he had gone. And then our Srila Gurudev was like very concerned, and then somebody told him, and Gurudev was, you could see, visibly disturbed that he had left and gone independently from Gurudev, and therefore Gurudev could not utilize him for the seva when he needed him for that seva. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj instructed his disciple, Pujapad Bodhaya Maharaj, in that way, that one should not be independent. One should be loyal and should always be available, or at least should speak to their Gurudev and gain permission not to do things independently, but to do things in a way that is pleasing to Gurudev. It's superior to remain here, sleeping in the corner, than to go and do your own thing. Even though it was for his pleasure, for his benefit, and for his service, still he gave that instruction. So I just wanted to share that. So Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj gave a lot of emphasis to Vaishnava Seva, to serving the Vaishnavas. And I know we spoke about it in the beginning, but still, it is so essential to understand this principle, that from that, everything else manifests. From serving the Vaishnavas, from honoring them, from taking their instructions. What is it? I'm trying to remember. Thakura Vaishnava Para, Avanira Susampara, Shuno Bhai Hoya Ekaman, or Thakura Vaishnava Gana. In there, it is stating that just the dust from their lotus feet, the water which has washed their feet, or their remnants of their foodstuffs, is so powerful that this can awaken the jiva to its transcendental nature. It's so powerful. Mahaprabhu says, Bhakta pada dule ar, bhakta pada jal, bhakta bhukta avashesh, teen mahabal. These three things, these three substances are so extremely powerful. Krishna himself desires these substances. When Sudama arrived in Dwarka, at the palace of Krishna, when Krishna brought him in, he set Sudama on his own bed, washed the feet of Sudama, took that charanamrita himself on his own head and gave to his queens, to Rukmini. So then he served Sudama. He was fanning him, serving him personally, treating him like, well, he was his dearmost friend, as his dearmost friend, which he was. And then Krishna was also so eager to receive that very meager offering that Sudama had brought. How dear is the devotee of Krishna to Krishna. So serving those devotees of Krishna, his near and dear, this is our process actually. Not trying to go directly to Krishna, but somehow coming close to the heart of Krishna. The heart of Krishna is his pure devotees. And what they have in their heart, when you serve them, when you try to follow them, when you receive their mercy, what will they give you? What is their mercy? They have nothing but Krishna in their heart. So what can they give you? When their heart melts, only Krishna comes. So this is the value of association with and serving and taking shelter of the pure devotees of the Lord. And so Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj put a lot of emphasis on these points. Vaishnava Seva. Even within this book, the art of sadhana, so much of it is about this point, because really that is the essence. Krishna Bhakti Janma Mool Hoy Sadhu Sangha. The root cause of the awakening of Krishna Bhakti in the heart is the association of Krishna's pure devotees. That's what awakens it. What maintains and develops it? The association of Krishna's pure devotees. And Krishna Prema Janme Tenho Purna Mukya Anga. Even after the attainment of perfection, which is Krishna Prema, divine love for Krishna, the most essential thing is Puna Mukya Anga, means the most essential thing. Sadhu Sangha, the association of Krishna's pure devotees. So because it is the beginning, the middle and the end of all of our processes of bhakti, from now and up to perfection and within perfection forever, within forever, this subject is the most essential subject. How to come close to the heart of a pure devotee. So Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj made this very strong part of his subject matter. Sudevi, do you have that book? Oh, it's already so late. I didn't even realize it was so late. Okay. So, there were so many other things I wanted to share. It's just these essential points, one thing after another, that Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj concentrated on. It was so powerful. He was also a very prominent kirtaniya, very prominent singer. As we heard, he would sing also on the radio. So he had this amazing, beautiful voice. And Srila Gurudev said that he would sing with so much love and affection, so much bhav in his heart. So I just want to end today with sharing, and I know some of you or many of you have seen it already, but with sharing with you what our Srila Gurudev spoke about Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. Because there is nothing which is more powerful than what the pure devotees say about the pure devotees. Because only a pure devotee can really know and understand the heart of another pure devotee. Just as only one who experiences prema can understand prema. So our Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, spoke this to Marapriya Prabhu, who translated it for the world's benefit. Srila Puri Goswami Maharaj was fully surrendered and one of the internal associates of Srila Prabhupada. At the time of performing kirtan and giving lectures, he would close his eyes, which were brimming with tears, being incessantly immersed in the bhav of bhakti. He would express such deep realizations while discussing bhakti tattva and rasa tattva that his whole audience would be enchanted. He was the embodiment of Srimad Mahaprabhu's verse, Trinadapi Sunichena. He was a Param Bhagavat. Param Bhagavat means topmost Vaishnava. And Gunagrahi, deeply appreciative of others' merit. Means he would value any seva that anyone would do for Guru and Krishna. Until this very day, I never saw him criticize anyone, and he even used to give inspiration and respect to this insignificant person who is thoroughly bereft of bhakti. So Gurudev is speaking about himself in this very humble way. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj was expert in all Siddhanta and a pure devotee in the line of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. And I felt so much inspiration from his blessings and instructions. So our Srila Gurudev spoke this about Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj. I thought that would be an appropriate place. What's the time? An appropriate place to end this discussion. Actually, the glories of the pure devotees are unlimited. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he's also denigrating himself for having the audacity for trying to glorify the unlimited qualities and pastimes of the pure devotees of the Lord, or any form of the Lord for that matter. So he's saying that, oh, what kind of audacity do I have? But still for my own benefit, I must make this endeavor. So on this day, the day of the appearance of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj, although I feel so inadequate to glorify such a personality, seeing how our Srila Gurudev, how Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Maharaj, and so many other stalwart Vaishnavas are glorifying him and seeing him as their own Shiksha Gurus, as their own Shiksha Guru, and seeing him as a Param Bhagavat and an eternal associate of the Lord and an eternal associate of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada. They are witnessing these glories and glorifying him as such. What capacity does someone like myself have? I can only repeat the words that they have to the best of my capacity, repeat the words that they have given in glorification of him. But I pray that he may bestow his mercy upon us, that we may be able to also develop this strong conviction and nishta, to be full of integrity and follow the discipline of Guru, our Guru Varga, the Vaishnavas, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in a way that will please them, in a way that will represent them, and in a way that we can also progress nicely on the path of bhakti. The only time I ever heard him personally speak, he spoke about following nicely and properly, with conviction, the path of sadhana bhakti. So I pray in the dust of his lotus feet that he can bless us, that we may develop this kind of nishtha, this kind of firm conviction to become those kinds of personalities that our Guru Varga will look upon us with so much pride for. And that doesn't mean that we should be proud. I'm saying that they will look on us with pride. Oh, look at my disciple. And they will give their mercy to us. Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Tadiya Avirbhav Maha Mahotsava ki jai. Is there anything you wanted to add? Oh?
No, we have an appointment today.
All right. So, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol Sudevi ki jai Prabhupada ki jai Rupan Gurvarga ki jai Padupal Shridyanand Prem Purushottam Sachinandana Gaur Hari ki jai Radha Vinodi Hari ki jai Radha Ramana ki jai Giriraj Maharaj ki jai Hari Nama Sankirtan ki jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj ki jai Danya Avirbhav Mahamahotsav ki jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari So thank you all very much for being with us today and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings of our Gurudev and Guru Varga, and especially on this day to endeavor to remember the beautiful and powerful qualities and pastimes of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj on his Avirbhav Mahamahotsav, his appearance day. And also, I just wanted to express indebtedness to all of you for giving us the opportunity for continuing with our Guru Seva, which is our life and soul. We look forward to being with all of you tomorrow, and we will continue going beyond Vaikuntha together. Dandava Pranam, Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe,
Radhe Radhe,
Hari Ju ki jai, Shachinandana Gaura Hari ki jai.
Dandava Pranam, Radhe Radhe, all
Radhe
Vaishnavas.
Radhe.
Nilavam.